What's up, YouTube? I think episode 4, GLZAEMOB podcast. Yeah, episode 4. I'm gonna just keep trying to push out content for you guys. Keep pushing out these bangers. We got some new stuff coming this way. Thursday, be looking on the lookout. We have a very, very, very special guest. Once again, somebody dear to my heart. Hint. And week 3 down in the books was crazy. When we're gonna get into that. Look out, man. Hey, I appreciate everybody for the support. Subscribe, like, comment, and looking back, this is probably gonna be the video. Hopefully, God willing, when this stuff pops off with the GLZAEMOB crew, this is gonna be a video that I look back on and be like, damn, came from, started from the bottom, and now we, wherever we at, in the long run. So without further ado, let's get it. GLZAEMOB podcast, episode 4. Start my intro. YouTube, it is your main guy, Chico Moore, back, GLZAEMOB podcast, episode 4. Like I said in the intro, man, we're gonna dive into crazy week 3. I know just from me watching the football games, it was at least easily 4 or 5 games that came down to field goals. A couple mistakes that were made. Clock management for sure, Bills. But I think best we start just to go down the list, man. We're going to go with the Thursday night's game, right? My team, the Browns, going against my Pops team, the Steelers, Pittsburgh Steelers. And from what I saw, man, Browns having a crazy week 2 dealing with the Jets. And I don't know how that happens. You have Amari Cooper on the hands team, and the ball looks like it just go right through his dude's legs. And I'm sitting back looking, and I'm just like, wait a minute. You get paid all this money they put to catch footballs. And I know that, you're used to catching footballs out the air and not off the bounce. But still, man, it's like I'm looking, and even before that, the defense gives up Joe Flacco bomb to Davis to cut it, and I'm like, what are we doing? And then ultimately those guys lose. They have a great game by Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb, and we'll get to talking about them with the Steelers game. And credit to the Jets, man. I mean, like we said on the last podcast, last episode, any given Sunday, and credit to them. Not giving up, staying in it, and they took their opportunities, and when opportunity presented themselves, they definitely held their own and cashed in when they needed to, and the Browns let them stick around. And so, like I said, the Browns coming off of a crazy loss, bounce back. I know Nick Chubb was running all over the place per usual. Kareem Hunt doing his thing. With that, Browns got that running back by committee with Kevin Stefanski. Jacoby Brissett really did great game managing. He took his chances. He was precise. He was comfortable. And guys, if it wasn't for that blunder with the Jets, we could be talking about the Browns without Deshaun Watson until week 12 being 3-0. 3-0, guys, which is insane. Now, granted, they did have, probably their first 3 games. It's arguably that they would have won the quarterback, matchup, right? Your first week you have Baker Mayfield. And so it's like, okay, you're going to take Baker, you're going to take Jacoby, whatever. Second week, obviously, Joe Flacco, and he's clearly not the Joe Flacco that we know that tees up, during the Baltimore Ravens. And then, like I said, Thursday, sorry, my bad. Thursday with the Mitchell Trubisky, right? Former Buffalo Bill under Josh Allen, second round pick from the Bears. You know, I know there's a lot of Chicago fans that are happy with Justin Fields, but, you know, some people are still looking at, you know, Patrick Mahomes could have been there and, you know, Deshaun Watson. But, you know, Justin Fields is still doing his thing. We're going to get into that game here in a little bit. But yeah, we could be talking about the Browns potentially being 3-0, which is insane. You know, an undefeated team along with now the Dolphins, who took care of business with the Buffalo Bills. And we're going to save that game for last because I think, in my opinion, with still the Cowboys-Giants game to play on Monday, my opinion was the game of the week. So, like I said, Browns, you know, they finally took care of business. They almost let another onside kick fumble through them, but it ends up going out of bounds, and they hold on for that win. Steelers got a lot of answering, you know, big thing now with Kenny Pickett and the Mitchell Trubisky. I know a lot of Steelers fans are wanting that change at quarterback. We'll see. I know Mike Tomlin knows what he's doing. And from what I've learned from different interviews from past players that played with him, past people that played against him, that his decision is final, and he won't make that decision until he utmost knows that it is the right decision. He's not going to succumb to pressure or anything like that. He's not going to, you know, succumb to, you know, what the fans are telling him to do and, you know, whatever. And the organization puts their trust in him, you know, 100%, 1,000%. So he's going to make that right decision for his team, and, you know, we'll see. So stick around for that. Next game we could probably get into, let's, you know, just jump right into it. Texans and Bears. Another team coming off of a crazy loss. I know Bears fans were having high hopes for that Packers game. They still got to wait a couple more weeks to have their rematch. So until then, I guess, you know, the Packers fan will say Aaron Rodgers still owns them. Justin Fields, you know, he's still figuring it out. He has some flashes of greatness, but he also has some flashes that shows his youth in the league. And over time, you know, once you give this guy more comfortable in the offense, you know, his weapons are going to, you know, start to form. It's early in the season that, you know, they're going to be fine, you know. They still got that juggernaut with Aaron Rodgers, and, you know, we'll get to talking about him and him taking care of business with that Bucs matchup. But the Texans is, you know, I don't know what their season's going to look like. You know, they've had some promise. Their running back, Damon Pierce, was looking pretty nice. You know, they still got Brandon Cooks. They got a beast of a tight end in Jordan Aiken, a really big body guy. But like I said, the Bears, man, their bread and butter is that defense. That their bread and butter with, you know, Roquan Smith and Gibson and the cornerbacks that are showing promise now. And once that team starts to mold and you get Justin Fields, when he gets comfortable in that offense and he's starting to move around that pocket, we know what he can do with his legs. And then now when he's getting more comfortable throwing to guys like Mooney, and then you got Herbert out the backfield, who is like, you know, the little gadget back that can, you know, he can power run, and then he also can, you know, catch. He's shifty. So once that offense starts gelling and the defense jumps on back, man, they're pretty tough. You know, it's going to be interesting to see where they end up, but good time taking out the Texans. They definitely handled business, like I said, after that devastating loss to Green Bay. Moving on next, one of the first upsets of the week, Chiefs Colts. Now, Patrick Mahomes didn't have too much of a solid game by his standards. And now we're starting to see a little bit the missing piece that was Tyreek Hill, right? You have a guy that can take the top off the defense. You have the game plan. You have to constantly know where he's at on the field. And what he's able to do is give room, you know, for all these guys to do what they do best, right? So you give guys like Clyde Edwards-Helaire, where the defense is backed up so far, and then now he, goes out to the flat. You give guys like Kelsey, he just take it over the middle, and he's still killer over the middle. Kelsey still had a great game, but his targets, catches, touchdowns, whatever, is going to come at a price, because now all the game plan is rolling to containing Patrick Mahomes and containing Kelsey. They gave up a lot of opportunities, man. You can't go down the field and miss field goals. And I know Butker, their kicker, is still out on injury, and Matty Amendola had to step in. But when you're giving a team opportunity after opportunity to come down and score, especially with the offensive woes that the Colts having, well, you still got guys that can make plays on that team, right? There's a guy back there that, started to come alive named Jonathan Taylor, right? You have other receivers, and then they're at home, right? So you're always going to have an advantage. When you have a team on a way and they're having woes, well, you can't have that home team having woes as well, because eventually that home team is going to make that big play and never look back. But, Kansas City is going to be interesting to see how they manage this season without Tyreek. We're still waiting. I think everybody is still waiting on Juju Smith to kind of be that guy. Obviously not a Tyreek caliber player where he can, shifty and, make something out of nothing. But, when is the old Juju that we saw when he was, tip-and-toeing with Antonio Brown back in Pittsburgh? When is that Juju going to be rejuvenated, so to speak, back in Kansas City? So we're still waiting. But, Patrick Mahomes is, still a beast of a quarterback. He's still a hell of a quarterback. Andy Reid, still a genius within himself. So I'm sure they'll figure it out. I'm sure they'll bounce back next week. But like I said, man, it's going to be interesting to kind of see how that Tyreek Hill with no Tyreek Hill plays out for them. Moving on to our next game, Lions and Vikings. It was interesting. I don't know with Kirk Cousins how committed. I know they paid him a lot of money a couple years back, but I don't know how committed they truly are to Kirk Cousins. Now, I know they got the win. I do know that. I know they got the win. And without Justin Jefferson having the best of games, he was pretty much silent. I haven't been fantasy, and he didn't do crap for me. Still got the dub. But Justin Jefferson, I need that week one explosion you had week one, brother. Come on. I know it's in you. It's been a couple weeks since your boy done seen the gritty. All right? Your boy Jamar Chase got one the other day. But I need a gritty. But yeah, so I was texting my friend Justin, and I was going back and forth with him. He was like, "Hey man, just relax. We're still going to win." And it was weird with the Lions. The Lions are kind of the surprise team. You have DeAndre Swift, who's taken off, and Amon-Ra St. Brown, who is explosion out of, he's continuing his explosion from late last season, where he's had these monster games after monster games after monster game. I think their thing with them is the, inconsistency with Jared Goff. If he can string along multiple drives of greatness, then that team is going to look out for. They're young, they're hungry, and they're playing with house money, right? It's nothing scary. They're playing with house money, because pretty much when you're a team like the Detroit Lions, just like, hey, most of these games you're expected to lose, unless, you get a team, knock on wood, that has like injuries and stuff like that. You're playing with house money, man. You go out there, you ball, it happens. If it doesn't, hey, hopefully we gave it all our best. But I'm interested to see how creative their offense is going to be to kind of give Jared Goff the type of path, so to speak, that he needs to succeed in that offense. They still got a couple questions on their defense. Obviously, Darius Slay went to the Eagles. So, their back end is kind of hurting. But, they're another young team. So, it's the jury's still out with them and see where they're going to be. But, like I said, Vikings had a scare. Justin, you know that. They had a scare, but hey, that's what some of the good teams do. They can, even on their worst days, they somehow figure out a way to pull out a win. We're gonna go. Let's go to the AFC North matchup. Ravens Patriots, and all I can say, Baltimore, pay this man, please, pay my boy Lamar. Because now what's going to happen is it's going to cost y'all boys. It's going to cost y'all boys a lot more than what he was asking for. I'm talking about about $300 million. You feel me? So he's balling. For me personally, he's clear. He's MVP. I think Tua has something to say about that, and I also think Jalen Hurts at this point in time has something to say about that. But what this guy's able to do, man, he's first ever quarterback to have back-to-back 3 touchdown games and 100 yards rushing. No other quarterback in the history of the league has done that, which is insane. Now, there's only probably been a handful. I don't even have to check the stats, but there's only been a handful of quarterbacks ever to have a game where they've thrown 3 touchdowns and ran for 100. And this guy did it back-to-back to a Bill Belichick defense. I mean, what is there left to say? I mean, he's won an MVP. He's been to multiple playoffs. Now, I guess some people might say, "Oh, well, Lamar, he doesn't show up in the playoffs like this and that." Well, I mean, I can go down the list of quarterbacks that don't show up in the playoffs. There's been plenty. Aaron Rodgers. Need I say less? But my boy went into the lab. And you see the throwing motion, right? He's making guys, and he's putting these balls with pinpoint accuracy to these receivers now, man. Mark Andrews is a beast. We know what, the return of J.K. Dobbins is going to mean for that running game. And then also you got guys like Duvernay that's out here making play after play after play after play. And then we know what the defense, what a John Harbaugh defense is going to be like. Now, I don't know what last week, that was the Ravens. It's another team that had to bounce back from a crushing loss. What Tua Tagovailoa, excuse me if I didn't say that right, but what Tua and the Miami Dolphins was able to pull off last week, it's unexplainable to me. It's not supposed to happen. It's not supposed to happen. So Baltimore, kudos to you for bouncing back the way you guys did. Patriots, I don't know. Give Mac Jones some time. Bill Belichick will figure out a way. The Tom Brady situation ain't looking too good, buddy. But we'll see what you guys end up doing, because you're gonna have to eventually pay some guys to bring into New England, man. And it's gonna be a lot harder now that TB12 is not playing at. He's not wearing that red, white, and blue. So now, I don't know. Might be a long road ahead for you guys. But we'll see, Bill. We will see. Anyway, moving on. Let's go to Bengals and Jets. In Cincinnati, congratulations. Finally got your first win of the season. I'm pretty sure everybody didn't think that you guys would be getting that first win in week 3. Especially, I don't know how you guys lose to the Cowboys with a backup. But, I was talking to my dad. He was saying, I think every team has that 2 ways that they can go after losing the Super Bowl. They can either go, one, they can say, hey, forget all that. We should have won. We didn't play our best, this and that. We're going to do whatever it takes to make it back, right? Now, you have multiple teams that have been to the Super Bowl, tried to make it back. They couldn't, but, they started off hot. Then you have other teams that are slumped. They're still in the twilight zone. They're still, running back certain plays. Like, man, what if we would have done this? If we would have done that? And sometimes you never recover from that, right? You never recover from that. Legion of Boom. Marshawn Lynch. That's the one that comes to mind. So with the Bengals, they're feeling a little sophomore slump for sure. But hey, they finally got it. Finally got a win. I came from the Jets. But Joe Burrow, man, like, I don't know what you got to do to talk with your with your staff, with the coaching staff, whatever, owner, whatever. Man, you're not going to last long in this league, man, if you keep taking sack after sack after sack. Cincinnati, if you want to keep your franchise quarterback around, man, you got to find a way. You got to find a way to keep this man off the ground. Get him some help, because you had guys had an incredible run in the playoffs last year, right? It's going to be so much harder to repeat that, because your weapons now are on everybody's radar. So when you play people, they know what Joe Mixon brings. They know what T. Higgins brings. They know what Tyler Boyd brings. And they damn sure know what Jamar Chase is bringing. Joe Burrow, they already know what you're about. So when these guys, outside linebackers, ends, middle linebackers, cornerbacks off the blitz, they're coming. So whatever y'all got to do, man, you got to get this guy some offensive line help. So we'll see. Yes, they got a tough division too, with some tough defenses, right? Like I said, Steelers and Browns until Deshaun, iffy quarterback play, but the defenses are there. T.J. Watt is a problem when he gets back. The Steelers defense is a problem. The Ravens defense, with the exception of the Miami Dolphins, is a problem. Myles Garrett and them boys, when Clowney gets back, they're a problem. Cincinnati, get Joe Burrow some help. All right, moving on. Let's go with the Washington Commanders and Philadelphia Eagles. I think Philadelphia Eagles also one of the surprise teams in the NFL. Jalen Hurts, he is running that offense at an MVP level. And it's funny that they played the Commanders, because it kind of gives me, it kind of puts me in the mind when Carson Wentz had that MVP year, right? They say fly, Eagles fly. Jalen Hurts, what he's able to do right now, and it's with the addition of A.J. Brown, was so critical, because now you have so much of the attention going to A.J. Brown that Devontae Smith he's eating like crazy, right? You see and he's always been a dynamic, I think they call him the Slim Reaper. He's always been dynamic since his days in Alabama. But now when you have this guy matched up one-on-one, because so much attention is on A.J. Brown, he's eating greedy. And Jalen Hurts is he's such a mindful quarterback, to where when he escapes the pocket, he's deadly with his legs. And I think, that's why most people are looking at the change of quarterback now, is when you have all these mobile quarterbacks that are capable of throwing you an L, and then if they can run you an L as well, you're at their mercy. You see, obviously, Lamar Jackson, what he was able to do to the Patriots defense. You see what Jalen Hurts was able to do with Washington Commanders. What Josh Allen, unfortunately, almost did, and like I said, we'll get to that game. When these guys are able to get out that pocket, you're at their mercy. You got, the corners got their back turned. The middle linebackers got their back turned, because they know that they got threats down the field. And now you just got a quarterback that just shooting out, and he's going sideline out the numbers, and, boom, first down and more. So what he's able to do right now, Jalen Hurts, man, like I said, he's playing at the MVP level. And if it wasn't for Lamar Jackson, doing what he's doing, which is unheard of, without the weapons that Jalen Hurts have, we'd be probably talking about Jalen Hurts leading the MVP race. So, and then on the flip side of that with the Commanders, man, I think the Commanders, they were expecting a restart for Carson Wentz. I know he was talking about how, he could have been like a better leader and a better, person when he was in those locker rooms. Yeah, that might be true, but that also, you got to transcend that to the field. That's got to translate that to the field, Carson. And, team is going to rally around somebody that they know, or at least they feel like, hey, man, this is a different guy. Like, this is a different guy than we've heard about. This is a different guy that we've played against, played with, whatever. So jury's still on what he's going to do. And what's so frustrating, it kind of puts you in the mind of like the Mitchell Trubisky situation, right? Is that you have a guy that shows flashes. Like, he shows you the great throws. You saw that in week 1. He shows you the great throws. He shows you, the talent. But then it's like poof, and it's like, wait, what happened? Where'd this guy go? So where they go with the Commanders go from this season on, is tough. And we'll see what ends up happening with Carson and that team. But like I said, man, hey, Eagles fly. You guys are killing it. Keep up. That NFC East, man, is, everybody is gunning for y'all. Y'all are definitely the top dogs. Next, we'll get to Panthers Saints. Second upset, you can call it. Second upset. Baker Mayfield, once again, didn't really play too good. It's just that the quarterback that he was playing opposite against in Jameis Winston just played so much worse. He's always been a turnover machine, but he's kind of negated that with passes down the field and, his arm strength and this and that. Alvin Kamara is still not fully back, I don't believe. And the Panthers, they have some weapons. Now, whether Baker can keep that boat afloat week to week, game to game, is I don't know. We don't know. We just play that by ear. But when you have Christian McCaffrey in the backfield, when you have a DJ Moore and a Robbie Anderson, those guys, man, they're gonna, you get the ball in their hand, eventually they're gonna make plays for you. But now it's like you said, it's with Baker, is can you get the ball in their hand? So once again, first overall pick versus first overall pick. Both these guys on their second team. Obviously, Baker was previously with the Cleveland Browns and that whole fiasco over the offseason. And then you have Jameis Winston with Tampa Bay. Obviously, he throws for the most yards, but also had one of, most interceptions. But then he's, New Orleans Saints, and they basically, after Drew Brees gave him the key. For a little bit, there was kind of a little bit of a challenge between him and Taysom Hill, but obviously, we see Jameis winning that. With the Saints, man, it's more of, I think they're still trying to figure it out on the go. I don't know if they were overly confident in Jameis Winston, or do they think, could they have been one of those teams potentially? Because both these teams were in the sweepstakes for Deshaun Watson, I believe. I think Carolina was one of the last. I think New Orleans, if I'm not mistaken, I think New Orleans backed out pretty quickly, but I do know that they both were in that sweepstakes for him. Clearly the Saints think that Jameis Winston is their guy. They got along like since only week 3. We'll see with them what's going to happen. But upside for them is, I guess, Michael Thomas is still there. The defense is still intact. It's just, I think the frustration from the Tampa Bay game kind of flooded and kind of sat around still coming into this week 3 matchup. And the Panthers and their frustration with the Giants kind of flipped it a different way and had them, ready for some smoke, pretty much. Came out blazing. I think the Saints didn't score until damn near the fourth quarter was their first point. after, what it seemed like when I was watching it seemed like 5 missed field goals from Will Lutz. Hey, you kicker, do your job. That's all I can say. All right, next matchup, knocking these out. Packers and Buccaneers. Now, if I'm not mistaken, there was a thing where the Brady-Rodgers matchup, I think Brady, they've matched up 4 times, and I think Brady owned those 3-1. And people were saying, like to talk, like, obviously, Brady's the GOAT, this and that, which, hey, Brady is that guy. Now, as a football talent-wise, obviously, I'm taking Aaron Rodgers, right? Stronger arm, better mobile quarterback. I'm taking as a talent. And I think a lot of people forget when Brady was with the Patriots, all those years that he was with the Patriots, I think like 17 of his 20 seasons with the Patriots, he had a top 10 defense. Okay? And people who play football know when you have a defense that can, 1, give you a short field, or 2, make up for the mistakes that your offense commits, that is key. That is very key. Aaron Rodgers only had 1 top 10 defense his entire career, and they went and won the Super Bowl. Just saying. And it's kind of like the flip side with Tom Brady, right? They say Tom Brady, he never really had any great weapons. He was always getting these guys from the YMCA. You give him Randy Moss. Now, obviously, they lost the Super Bowl, but they go undefeated throughout the season and go to the Super Bowl and lose on a crazy play, right? So, it's same with Aaron Rodgers. Like, hey, what is he able to do? Like, can you imagine, it's one of those what-if games, right? What if Aaron Rodgers was able to have a top 10 defense like some of these guys that win the Super Bowl, right? Who's to say? But, with that game, Buccaneers, it's nothing really. They were out. They were without Chris Godwin. We know Julio Jones was injured, and he was out. There's no more Rob Gronkowski, which is, Ben Grady's fall guy, pillow for the longest. Antonio Brown is clearly gone. So his top 4 receivers from last year are no longer there. Now, granted, these were the same guys that he was throwing to Sunday, with the same guys that he was throwing to last Sunday when they beat the Saints. So you can't give too much like, oh, well, he's not no, because everybody gave him the same credit when he won against the Saints. So you kind of got to give him the same discredit when they lose to the Packers, right? Just the way it works. Now, obviously, we know Aaron Rodgers' big weapon that he doesn't have anymore, Devontae Adams, who's now with the Las Vegas Raiders. But like I said, there was times where, they could have, won that game. And it goes back to what I was saying with all these clock management games, right? They're down on the 1 or the 2 yard line and a delay of game happens. A delay of game. Knocks them back 5, 10, whatever that penalty is. And now they're forced to where they could have ran the ball in potentially. Now they're first on a 6, 7 yard pass that goes errant and boom, game over. So, and we'll get to another clock management game that everybody knows, but it's just one of those things where it's like, man, clock management, it's like you can't call timeout because they blundered and used all their timeouts. And now it's like you just got to come up, hope and throw and pray, but sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Packers won, Bucs lose. It's on to week 4. Next game we'll go to is one of the last ones we'll talk about. Rams Cardinals. I don't know what's up with Kyler Murray. I don't know if the article when he got all his money and they were saying that, it was stipulated that he has to dedicate certain hours every day to watching film and stuff. I don't know if that messed with him or not, because they've been a disappointment. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know what the deal is. And obviously I know he's missing some weapons. DeAndre Hopkins still out. James Conner was, on a pitch count, I believe, from I think he had an ankle injury last week. The defense doesn't look all that together. They look like they're kind of just scrambling around the place. And then the Rams, after that first week loss to the Bills, they're starting to come back to that Super Bowl caliber winning team. You know, Cooper Kupp had another great game. That's Cooper Kupp. You know, it's NFL's mystery, and they letting this guy run around the place, catch all these balls, and do all that stuff. But, you know, they're coming around. The defense is starting to look better. You know, Aaron Donald is starting to get that machine working again. But yeah, the Cardinals is definitely a mystery. Will they figure it out? We'll see. They have a tough road ahead of them as well. Kyler Murray in years past tends to deteriorate as the season goes longer. You know, his body has been known to start wearing down. So we'll see if maybe, you know, I think last year they started 8-0 and then they kind of started, you know, tearing it down. We'll see if maybe this is one of their things where it's like, hey, you know, let that motor kind of work itself before it gets to full power, and let's finish the season strong versus finishing the season on a low note. But hey, you know, who knows? All right. Now, last but definitely not least, in my opinion, game of the week, Buffalo Bills versus Miami Dolphins. Division rivals, both coming into this game undefeated. One with a crazy week 2 finish in the Miami Dolphins, and one crazy Monday night stomping in the Buffalo Bills over the Tennessee Titans. Now, let's go with let's start with Buffalo first, right? Let's start with Buffalo. Buffalo comes into this game undefeated, like I said, and the way that they handled Tennessee, right? Totally shut down Derrick Henry. That running game was non-existent, and for much, Ryan Tannehill was immobilized. You know, he's not very mobile, right? Anyway, but immobilized, right? Couldn't do anything. And I'm looking at that game and I'm like, wow, okay, maybe this wasn't a fluke. You know, they stomped the Rams and do whatever they needed to do with them. And then they come with Tennessee and they do whatever they need to do with them. So, okay, I'm looking, all right, let's see how this Miami team is. Now, on the flip side of that, Miami comes out from a total high, right? I mean, these Snoop Dogg high. The Ravens game with them, crazy, right? Tua catapults himself into MVP talks. Scores 4 touchdowns in the fourth quarter of that Ravens game. Takes the lead, comes back, wins the game. Now, Baltimore, I don't know how you let Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill, mainly Tyreek Hill, fastest guy in the NFL at wide receiver, get behind you twice. How does it happen? I don't know why. Once, okay, we messed up. Twice, bruh, what's going on? So, they come from that game on a super high. Like I said, super duper high. And, ladies and gentlemen, this game did not disappoint. I'm sitting back and I'm just like, okay. From watching the game, you would think that Buffalo should have just ran away with this, right? The time of possession was like 20 minutes to damn near 50. The guy, Tua only completed, I think he only attempted 18 throws. Josh Allen attempted on, I think, if I'm mistaken, 60-something throws. What? But you go down to the red zone, and this is unheard of. You go down to the red zone, and for the Buffalo Bills, you're kicking field goals. You guys were 2 of 4 in the red zone. Miami was 3 of 3. You can't go down in the red zone and continue to keep field goals while you're allowing the opposite team to go down in the red zone and get touchdowns. 3 always loses to 7. Well, not always, but you get the point. And even then, one of the craziest finishes that I've ever seen. Craziest finishes. You get the ball on a crazy punt, right? Crazy punt. Then you force a 3 and out. That's in itself. They're down by 5. No, I take that back. They're down by a touchdown. You force a 3 and out. The kicker is backed up to where he has to stand at between the out of bounds and the end zone line because he can't go any far back, right? Now, I've never seen this. This guy catches the snap, attempts to punt, and it goes straight up, and then back. So bad that they thought it got blocked. I thought it got blocked when I'm watching. I was like, oh my God, they just blocked this punt. But he went straight up. So now they force a safety. Now you're only down by 5 points. Touchdown wins it. Touchdown. Now, they get to, you know what? No. Excuse my. I was correct. They were down by 5. They get the safety. Now they're down by 3. Touchdown will win it. Field goal ties it. And field goal actually will win it, actually. Now, the score at this point is 17, I believe 17-19. Something crazy, right? Let me make sure. Score right here is 21-19, but they're down by 2. So the guy has to punt. They get the ball, and they're marching towards the field goal line, the field goal target. Then all of a sudden, they get close, penalty flag, and they're back 20 yards. Now, rewind, right before half, there's a play. Josh Allen and the coordinator have a terrible execution where it looked like Josh Allen bobbled this snap where he was supposed to spike it so they can attempt a field goal. But he bobbles the snap and tries to do the old Dan Marino fake spike, throw it to the flat, and the guy runs for the touchdown. So, to credit to Diggs for seeing and noticing that, because that was almost a pick 6. It was almost a pick 6 at the end of the half. And then on the flip side, credit the Dolphins defense for being able to acknowledge that, oh, snap, this guy is not spiking. He's throwing this ball over to number 14 in blue. We need to get over there. Now, the guy just misses that pick 6. That's what I'm saying. The guy just misses this pick 6 just by a hair. And obviously, Diggs runs. He runs for about 10, 12 yards, out of bounds, halftime. That was 3 points. They lost by 2. That was 3 points, and they lost by 2. So now we digress back to the start of the soliloquy with the Buffalo Bills and Miami Dolphins. So now, like I said, the punter punts it, goes straight up in the air. They get a safety. Score is 21-19. They just need a field goal to win. Field goal. Get the punt. They're marching. Penalty flag. Now, at this point in time, no more timeouts. They get a sideline throw. Stops the clock. Then on the next possession, Josh Allen throws it to almost get sacked. He somehow does Josh Allen, what only Josh Allen would do, does his dipping, dot, boogie woogie, all that crap, and throws it to Ian McKenzie. Now I'm thinking, I see it, I'm like, oh man, he's going to make it to the sideline. And he's making it to the sideline with looks like 2 seconds to go. No, it was about a little bit over 2 seconds. It probably was about, let's call it 10 seconds, right? He makes it, but he cuts a field. And he avoids going to the sideline. I'm sitting there like, what are you cuts upfield instead of goes to the sideline. What, like, dude, what? Like, guys, this is NFL. Now, I know, I'll be the first. Hey, I've been the first to tell my coach back when I played, basketball or whatever. So, oh, man, coach, I remember me calling a timeout because I swear we thought we had another timeout. Technical foul, free throw, right? It happens. But you have in the huddle, you have no timeouts. You run 2-minute drills. You run game management, clock management situations. And you cut up field and prevent. You literally, Mackenzie, you did the defense a favor. You didn't go out of bounds. Now it's a rush to get the ball set, hike it, clock it for your field goal. You need to get on. And they don't do that. Clock runs out. So they had a bad blunder, clock management blunder to end the half. And they have a bad blunder to end the game. And there's a funny thing that right now Ken Dorsey's going viral because they showed him up in the coordinator's box, and he's throwing, he's flipping out. I'm talking about he's wilding. I'm sitting there laughing because it's funny to me, but I can imagine like what was going on with him. So, hey man, Bills. All I can say is Bills Mafia, take your frustration out next week. Take your frustration out next week. That's all I can say. But hey, like I said, man, what a crazy week. I'm glad football's back. I'm so glad football's back. And like I said, guys, this is gonna be wrapped up for episode 4. Special guest for sure coming for you guys Thursday. Tune in. We're going to give predictions on our week 4 matchups. But hey, all I can say is, Donut Game, we here. I appreciate the support. GLZAEMOB crew, everybody behind the scenes. Love y'all. And like I said, look out. And I think that's going to be a wrap. So catch you on the next one.